Hey! Welcome to Third World Gaming, the number 37 show according to a cat's litter box. Hey guys!
And to a cactus's intuition.
Strange that one is. Hey
Cactuses
guys,
are
I'm...
alive and they want to get our juices.
I don't want to know what you look for on the internet. Anyway, so I was saying, I'm Miko, the Iron Gamer, and with me is Paolo, the man of many ideas.
Yes, I thought of cactuses, juices, and stingrays flying in the sky.
We don't talk about those things, Paolo.
What? But stingrays flying in the sky.
We talk about games in the third world.
Yeah, so let's make a game about air stingrays.
I somehow have a feeling I played that game before on the Atari or maybe on the Sega.
Yeah, you know, Invasion of the Air Stingrays. You know, with like 50-meter wingspans.
I did not play that game. Anyway, so hey guys, welcome back to the show. Once again, this show is about gaming in the third world. It might not be very clear about our title. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're about to talk about something that's very keen to the third world. A culture of gaming that, well, I primarily see in Asia, but something I've really noticed as pretty huge in the third world, with the exception of Korea, which has this a bit bigger in a whole different level. Now, at this point, you might have figured it out. No, it's not Dota. No, it's not StarCraft. It's where they play it. The internet cafe.
Yes, internet
Cafe
cafes.
culture.
Cafes.
Now, a lot of people here know internet cafes as essentially gaming centers nowadays. I mean, these are places where you go on PC, and a number of them actually have consoles, like the ones I see around Cebu.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, some of them actually have consoles. Some of them actually have Xbox, PS3, PS4, the Xbone.
Really?
They're very diverse now with the gaming things.
This is new to me. They still have the PCs, right?
Of course, they have the PCs, but they actually have those as options. PS Mania is actually one of the very first places I went to that had the combo of PlayStation 2 at that time with the computer, and I believe they also had the Xbox.
Okay.
And I even went to another one that had the Kinect. But I think Kinect things are a bit more popular nowadays, especially like I think it was Redbox or something. They actually had the Kinect
Redbox.
and
Redbox had movies and Kinect rent.
Anyway, those are different from cafes, but yes, you guys know internet cafes as essentially gaming areas where you see people play Dota, LoL, HON, Counter-Strike, StarCraft, way too many MMOs, watch YouTube.
More than you count. Watch YouTube, use the socials, occasionally do stuff for school.
Yeah, and actually I noticed a lot of guys go there just to read manga online.
Yeah, actually that's a very common thing.
Yeah, actually, I found that weird because that's something very uncommon for me. But yeah, it's becoming pretty huge where you see people going that read manga.
Okay.
Anyway, you guys remembered cafes as this. Now, cafes as you see them right now, they were nothing like that back in the 90s when the first cafes started coming out. Now, the term internet cafe was, well, closer to being a business center than it was an internet hub.
Like how much of a business center?
Like, all you really had for software was Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You had back in the day Netscape, Internet Explorer. Yeah, the Explorer was still there.
You can't take out Internet Explorer from Windows stuff.
No, you can just replace it.
Yeah, but you can't,
But yeah, they had Netscape, which I think was a predecessor of Mozilla. Was that right?
I
think
check that one out.
I think it's the Linux guys mentioned in one of their episodes, or maybe talk about the Badanga Nights. Anyway, back then, cafes were really meant for, well, work and business things. Back in the 90s, also, the reason why such, gaming on a PC, I mean, I game on a Mac. Back then, I had a Mac. I had a very basic PC, but back then, PC gaming was really non-existent.
To what extent?
Well, when you played PC, essentially the games you immediately played were Solitaire, Minesweeper, Pinball for some machines.
Okay.
Gaming on the PC was extremely limited.
So you're saying you could count it with one hand?
Pretty much. I mean, the really nice games, or at least what we'd consider games. Growing up, the things I played on the computer were point-and-click adventures.
Okay.
Primarily Captain Keen, Dave the Tentacle, Indiana Jones the Infernal Machine, Sam and Max Hit the Road. it was those types of games, very simplified things. The closest thing I played to something being a bit more complicated was Red Alert 1 by Westwood at that time.
Okay.
But gaming was pretty limited. And cafes, well, were never geared to gaming. I mean, cafes only had games that would be on the computer, which was Solitaire and such. When you went there, it was genuine to use the internet. Now, you might be wondering, why would you go to this place just to use internet? Well, back then,
This
in the
was
90s,
this was technically during around the time where the internet, started being a thing. So, well, internet infrastructure wasn't exactly well established or well spread out at the time.
Well,
and also, there was also the consideration that, generally speaking, when you were ever talking about internet, you were talking about dial-up.
not just that, and back in the 90s, there were probably less than 8,000 websites.
Yeah.
Only 800 were popular. And, I mean, Google wasn't even a thing back then.
Yeah, there weren't search engines.
I know there were search engines, but not as Google showed them, being extremely simple. I mean, you had Yahoo, you had the Netscape system.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But they
Yahoo
were
was
very,
still-
very, and Alta Vista. But they were very different to what we acknowledge today.
Yeah.
Back then, internet, as Paolo said, was dial-up. It was, this box that made really, really weird noise that most of you probably have never heard of. That's Paolo's rendition, and if you're in the headset, I'm very, very sorry.
I have no shame for what I have done, though I apologize for the damage I may have caused.
But yeah, the modem back then, it made those weird noises, and you could not use the phone. This might be strange to you guys, but yeah, when the internet was going on, when you're using it, the phone line was also being used. So you could not use it, you could not actually...
When you picked up the phone and put it next to your ear, you will hear that sound constantly going on. But usually what happens is that the moment you pick it up, your connection is cut.
Yeah. And also then, the internet speeds you're looking at were 56 kilobytes per second, upwards 256 kilobytes per second. I remember when I was the very first game I played online was Diablo 1 on the Battle.net system.
Okay.
And we actually connected via IP. I was running about 128 kilobytes per second that time to 256.
And that's all you needed to be smooth?
Oh, as smooth as it could get. I mean, there were very obvious delays, but it wasn't bad. And it helped that the game was extremely simplistic.
Okay.
I mean, then, Diablo 1 had no sprinting, had very simple inventory system. Everything there was overly simplified. And that was the very first game I replayed that was online, per se. So, back then, you didn't really need to get the internet. I mean, it wasn't something immediately useful for people because they didn't see the point of it. It was only, I think, to the late 90s, to the early 2000s, where people realized, hey, the internet is a fantastic thing to have. But even then, the internet speeds were still generally low, and people still would not invest into them. So simply put, it was a lot easier for people to go to net cafes to use the internet and do some basic things. You didn't have to pay much. Internet cafes back then ranged anywhere between 25 to 35 pesos per hour.
Okay.
And yeah, you didn't play games on them. That's essentially how they all started. It was really just a place where you work to do your printing, documents. You can get your emails. Even then, an email was extremely rare to get.
Yeah.
It was actually, I still remember getting snail mail as a kid, and emails were like, wow, I have an email.
Okay.
Nowadays, it's the reverse, where an email is so common. You get snail mail, it's like, wow, I got snail mail.
No. When I think of getting snail mail, I think of getting an invitation to a conspiracy. Like, I'm only going there because of the fact that so few people use it, that if someone uses it, it's gotta be important and can't be shared with anyone.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you make some sense there, but yeah, the first time I actually played the video game in the cafe, since there were no games available there, I had to install a game into it. It was me and my dad. We were playing in this net cafe right outside our house. They had 0 games, so I actually had to talk to them, ask, can I install this game so my dad and I can play? He's like, okay, sure. They found it actually so amusing to see someone try to install games to play in the net cafe, which they saw was, people here just want to do their typing and stuff. But yeah, so installed. It was War Games, a very nice game. Wish they made a sequel to that thing. There might be a sequel. If there is, let me know in the comments. But it was a fun game, and my dad and I would always have to reinstall it just to play there. Until we started playing in Discovery Zone, which was this computer school my relatives had, where we play Red Alert 1, War Games, essentially RTS. We never really went into any sort of FPS game at that point. We played Age of Empires, I remember that one. Fun game. But the times I remember where there was a obvious shift into the gaming market was, I think, when I was at 5th or 6th grade already.
Yeah.
Where we were having computer classes, and right after that, we'd be playing Counter-Strike. We played Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike came out.
Yeah, and Counter-Strike, this is right after the beta, so people don't realize this, but the beta of Counter-Strike had the M4 came with a scope. It did not come with a suppressor.
Yeah.
It was the version right after that that had a suppressor, not a scope. That's why if you look at the outline of the gun, there's always an ACOG on top of it.
Yeah.
But you never get one. That's the reason. It's just like what's left behind the code, and they just always kept it there.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, correct me if I'm wrong, but that scope kind of messed with the balance of the game.
Yeah, it did. It really did, because you started a scope gun fairly early in the game. Now you might be wondering if if these things were like that, how did we game? Well, nowadays we talk about the PC Master Race. Back in the 90s and a little earlier than that, if you were a gamer, you were either in the arcade or you had a console.
Yes.
And multiplayer games was playing on the console with more than 2 controllers, or just 2 controllers. Most of the consoles I grew up with just had 2 controllers, with the exception of the N64, which had 4.
Yeah.
I don't count my PlayStation's multi-tap because not much games were designed to use it anyway.
Not in fairness to PS1 and PS2. Let's see. PS1 never really had effective ways of using that multi-tap. Besides, I think I could count 20 games, but no more than that.
It's still more games than the failed Nintendo Virtual Boy.
That was only like, what, 5?
11.
Okay, at least it's not a single-digit number.
Well, it would be single-digit in the American market, I think. The other 2 games are only Japan release.
So the only system in current history that actually had a single-digit library.
I'm pretty sure there are others that had single-digit libraries, but they're so obscure, people don't care about them.
So I'd assume you're gonna count the Odyssey into that.
No, the Odyssey actually had more games.
Okay.
The Odyssey actually had a number of games, but to be fair, the Odyssey, you guys might not know what the Odyssey is. It's an older console, similar to the Dynasty.
Yeah.
The Dynasty used a archaic ROM system. The Odyssey used, a different system altogether.
But anyway, going back to the topic.
If you were gaming with friends, it was with consoles. PC gaming was kind of a joke. When people saw you had the PC, they're like, wow, what are you going to do with that? Until, lots of PC games came out. One of the biggest ones, at least for my childhood, was Counter-Strike. I mean, as much as I loved Red Alert 1, Age of Empires, Warcraft 1 and 2, and the early StarCraft, me and my friends played Counter-Strike, mainly because we played Medal of Honor on the console, and we played I don't believe we played Call of Duty on the console. I think it was Medal of Honor on the console, and the GoldenEye on N64 with 4 players. That was amazing. So Counter-Strike was kind of something, hey, this makes sense, let's go into this.
Okay.
I still remember the first time I played Counter-Strike, it was so weird to me.
Why?
Well, I didn't use a mouse at all for these type of games.
This was the first time you needed to use a mouse?
Yeah. And to be honest, I mean, I mentioned a few times where I played in the professional circuit first thing.
Yeah.
First time I played Counter-Strike, I hated it.
Okay.
I didn't like the game. It felt so weird. I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't understand anything. The first map I played was the Alice map, which was a hostage rescue map.
Okay.
I didn't understand the game. I didn't understand what I was doing. I kind of got confused. And the next game I played after that was the Rainbow Six series.
Oh, okay.
So complete opposites in the FPS spectrum here.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much the game limits. I mean, you had these indie games, like not indie games, but you had these newer PC games that were pretty big.
Yeah.
At least we think them big nowadays, but back then it was very different from PC gaming.
Yeah.
It was not a pinball game. It was not a basic single-player game. It had lots of things to it.
It wasn't a basic pack-in game. It was basically a more fleshed-out experience.
I mean, people might be saying like, no, Doom, Castle Wolfenstein, a number of earlier games in the early 1992 onwards to 1996. But thing is, Half-Life really made a big change in the market, especially with the mods that were made for it. I mean, I didn't even understand what the mod was back then.
Really, no?
I didn't understand what mod was. I mean, I was a kid. I said, hey, another game. It took me, I think, 2 years before I realized that Counter-Strike was a mod for Half-Life.
2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like, hey, cool, this thing's actually Half-Life. And I actually played Half-Life after playing Counter-Strike.
Oh.
I guess it felt like, I played Dota and then, oh my god, there's a single-player version?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. I played Counter-Strike and, hey, Half-Life. But but Counter-Strike is kind of what started up the gaming things in the net cafes, at least from what I experienced as a kid. Also, a little bit of background here. Paolo did not.
I never grew to go on what Miko's describing. I never really grew up with internet cafe culture, and I was only really quote unquote formally introduced to it back in my college years. So from my high school to grade school, I only went anywhere from a collective number of 5 to 12 times, of which, 5 to 12 times within the entirety of grade school, high school, and it's only been within the past 5 years in my college years that I actually have a better grasp of what cafe culture is. So I don't really have much context on the history of it, though I do have to agree with the fact that one of the biggest drivers was indeed Counter-Strike, because I know for a fact that's what a lot of my classmates were playing.
I mean, if you weren't playing Counter-Strike, you're probably playing Diablo at that point. Diablo 1 was a big thing. Diablo 2, though, was pretty huge. Same with playing Warcraft and StarCraft. Not Dota or any of the weird maps. It was actually just playing the standard RTS.
Yeah.
These were fun, especially MechWarrior was a thing then as well. Some other first-person shooters, Medal of Honor was a thing, Call of Duty 1 and 2. Essentially lots of FPS type games, racing games. I remember Need for Speed was a very fun game back then.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, PC gaming was very limited. I think the most fleshed out game I remember was Microsoft Flight Simulator, which, wasn't exactly fun unless you really, really, really enjoyed planes.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it was a very, very well done game in fairness to what it was.
Okay.
But gaming was a big thing. But the reason why net cafes kind of started switching to this was simply because gamers apparently had money, and they just realized that
gamers had money, and gamers are also a very consistent crowd.
And they stayed long. I mean, the businessman or the student would come in, would probably use the computer for
30 minutes,
1 hour, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, sometimes even less. Heck, in college, we've used a computer for under 5 minutes to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Or something, we skip it all together and just go ahead and print.
Yeah. Or scan. Print or scan or send file or receive file or whatnot.
Now, the thing is, gamers, they would spend on average 4 to 5 hours in a cafe.
At times, certain groups will actually stay for the entirety of the for the entirety of the working hours, or even beyond that. Like that one time where we gamed until 6 a.m.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Heck, I mean, Net Grill, which was the cafe my uncle owned. Me and my friends would all meet up there, and it would never be planned. We just knew people would be there.
Okay.
They would open at 9 a.m. and close at 6 p.m. We'd be there from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'd be there waiting by the door at 8:45, and we'd leave at 6.
Okay.
We spent the entire working day there, and that was about 25 pesos per hour. Or if you got the card, you could get 20 pesos and could get 20 pesos. It was kind of a weird promo thing.
Oh, okay.
Now, just imagine that. You had people there, and there were about 6 to 8 of us. So you had 8 computers filled for the entire time. It's essentially making money for the entire period. There was no time it wasn't running. I mean, even in college when we played games, when we weren't playing games, we still paid for the time, it was open for us.
Yeah.
Gamers, they saw us gamers as, wow, these people stay here long.
Yeah.
And so they slowly actually started accepting and putting in some games. The first few games, of course, being Warcraft, Starcraft, and Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Age of Empires was still a thing, but that was slowly being pushed out.
Yeah.
So you'd see business people and gamers in the same place. Now, these two people don't mix. Gamers are noisy.
Yes, they
We
are.
are noisy.
Pretty very noisy.
Lots of the noise actually came because of one part. There, people who went to net cafes were either part of the arcade culture,
Yeah.
where noisy was a norm.
Yes, it was.
And you came from the console side, where when you play with your friends, you'd be yelling at each other anyway.
Yes. Yes.
So when you put these people in a business center, which was supposed to be quiet, good luck. We're going to be noisy.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. This little line that's passing through that represents quiet, well, it just turned into a giant wave.
Yep. Now, of course, the net cafes had to make a choice here. They saw that their business clients were the businessmen and the students were a little were complaining because of the noise levels, and at the same time, the gamers were not really paying attention to them and would be annoyed when they tried to get into some sort of argument, which has happened a number of times.
Okay.
Now, for a business owner perspective, they kind of saw these clients, these business guys, as they had money.
Yes.
However, they didn't spend the money. I mean,
Yes.
even though a businessman would make hundreds and thousands of pesos per day versus a student who barely gets like a 30, 40, 50 peso allowance a day or something.
Yeah.
Now you think, hey, the businessman has more money. But the reality is,
he's not spending it.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much money he has if he doesn't spend it. Now these gamers, even though they had barely any income, would spend a majority of it.
They're spending it on you.
Oh yeah, on the games, on the things there. Now the only issue they saw with the gamers was the fact that gamers only really came in the weekends.
Yes, that is usually the case.
So they saw an instant switch of having businessmen in the weekdays and gamers on the weekends until summer came. The very first summer when the gaming thing became a bigger thing in these internet cafes.
Then the gamers came in droves.
They came in huge droves. I remember
every single day.
I don't think Paolo's ever been to this net cafe. It was called Area 51.
I might have heard of it.
You probably heard of it because all of us have played in it who've gone to net cafes. Area 51 was the biggest net cafe in our area at that time. It was 3 stories and had about 220 computers.
Okay.
This was purely for gaming, nothing else. They survived 5 years purely on that market only. Because they found out that the number of people, even though you're supposed to be in school, would skip school to play.
Yeah.
And these computers would be filled up constantly. I mean, they'd be played by the high school kids, elementary kids, homeless kids, the squatters, because they could afford it. And it was just income. The only reason why Area 51 kind of slowly died down was newer cafes were coming out.
Okay.
One very memorable cafe being 64MB.
Okay.
If you wonder why it's called 64MB, because that was the newest video card at that point.
Video card or RAM?
Sorry, RAM. Sorry, not video card. RAM. 64MB of RAM. When I was playing in Counter-Strike professionally online, I had 128 MB worth of RAM.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That was big back in the day.
It was awesome. So 64MB was the gaming cafe because it had the newest equipment. It didn't have as much computers, but newer stuff. And then there's this other place. We called it Rose. That was not the name of the place. It was almost like an inn because you'd have people who were sleeping there. It was the first cafe that was 24 hours.
Okay.
So they never closed. Area 51 actually did have closing times, though it changed in the years, but this one did not have any. Versus the other internet cafes that had the basic business day. You had 9 to 5, 9 to 6, things like that. This did not. It was 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Okay.
And they were making tons of money. Their issue was not losing money on weekends or anything. Their issue was actually people coming in to actually hustle people for cash or other things. It was actually petty theft and lower criminality was an issue. It had nothing to do with any business problem.
Oh, and for me, I thought the problem would be the fact that you'd have a guy like hoboing it out and.
Oh no, that's normal. That's normal. You'd actually see people, days out of a week.
So here's my question: Did he start naming the furniture after? Did he start naming the furniture?
No, he just brought his own furniture.
Did he start naming that?
I don't know. I didn't ask if he had a name on things. Why would I ask someone if he names his furniture?
That is an indication of how long he's lived in the place. You live so long.
When do you go to someone and ask him, "Did you name that chair?"
I don't know. I don't know. It seems like a valid question.
How is that a valid question?
Again, keyword seems. I didn't say it is. Again, keyword seems. I didn't say it is. Seems is what I said.
Yeah, I don't even know how that seems to be a valid question. I won't go to someone, "Hey, what's the name of your stool? Hey, what's the name of your chair?"
Because if
I mean, I can see people like, "What do you call your car?" Or something like that. But I mean, the closest bit of furniture I can imagine people naming might be the toilet, or might be the fridge, or maybe a computer. But that's not refurnishing. Or, well, there's a fridge.
Somehow I'm gonna have to say that if they start naming the furniture stuff, then something must have happened, or something must have gone on in the head, or something. That's what I can say.
But anyway, moving along with the topic, by the mid 2000s, the fact that the idea that internet cafes had a business thing was completely an afterthought.
It was a secondary function.
Not even a secondary function at all. For lots of places, it was not secondary function. It was just this, our computers can do that.
Yeah.
It was not at all a plan. It just, we can do that because computers were designed to do such. They did not...
To put some perspective based on a lot of the internet cafes I've seen, most of the internet cafes I've seen now only have about 1 or 2 printers, and that's usually like in the counter. I'd assume back in the day there'd be more of those printers.
It's not really more of those printers, but then more heavy duty printers, or they'd have special printers for photos or other things that have fax machines, lots of other things.
So in short, they would have had more.
It looked like an office.
So in short, more printers and fax back in the day.
Yeah,
but there'd be more printers, scanners, and fax back in the day. But
it looked like an office. Yeah. Simply put, it's an office.
But these days, most of that equipment, you're only going to actually see it if you actually look behind the counter.
Yeah.
These days.
Mainly because it's an afterthought. I mean, even like a gaming cafe like Mineski, you can actually, have your things printed if you wanted. I mean, they do have the facilities. Is that the primary thing? No. It's probably, they'll just be, "Oh yeah, we can print that for you.
We can do it for you, but that's not our main thing."
And there's some cafes that still try to do the half and half. Generally, you'll see a lot in malls or near schools.
You'll actually see this a lot in schools, or in schools that are also situated near communities where the people who would most likely go there would usually be the people who don't exactly have the income for a consistent connection. Therefore, most of these people would be getting their access from the cafe.
And if you wonder what they're accessing, MMOs. The first major MMO that would
a number of these people would just be getting into these cafes just for general access to a computer in general.
Yeah, but the internet back then was actually really heavy MMO.
Yeah, but I'm also even describing now.
Oh yeah, now. Yeah. But we still go online.
But there's some. But again, considering the nature of where we live, let's just say that we haven't come to a point where the grand majority of the people in this island can afford Wi-Fi.
Well, yeah, the Philippines has one of the most expensive services, and we have the most expensive internet service and one of the slowest internet service in Asia. I think we are ranked lowest in speed.
No, someone beat us already.
Which one?
India.
No. India's data is skewed.
Okay.
Because one of India's, remember, they're doing it on the average,
Yeah.
India's the second largest population in the world.
Okay, that you make a good point.
And where majority call centers that use internet services are there.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So it's skewed.
Yeah.
The same way China's appears very slow because it's also skewed data.
Largest
Hong Kong, their free internet in the hotel I went to was 80 Mbps.
80.
80. So
what were the upload speeds?
About 60.
Keeping this note in mind, we'll upload in foreign country.
Yeah, but essentially India and China, both data is skewed because of their large population. So we're still pretty much the slowest. I mean, Bali is just a little faster than us by maybe, I think, 0.1, 0.2 Mbps, but their things are cheaper. With exception of 3G, which the 3G is really expensive.
3G is really expensive, and if I'm correct, the amount of money you're paying for a 20 Mbps connection here is the same amount of money you'd be paying for what speed in another country?
Well, like what we're paying for
20 Mbps.
For 20 Mbps, like if I was in United States and getting fiber, I would be able to get 2 to 3 fiber accounts.
2 to 3 fiber accounts at
100 Mbps to 1,000. That's actually not 100. 1,000 Mbps. I could get 3 of those accounts for a cost for a 20 Mbps line here.
Nice. Yeah. Kind of the situation where
that what also forced people further into going to cafes.
Because basically that's pretty much also their only real access to a computer and internet in general.
And also going back to what I mentioned about MMO games, one of the biggest ones in the Philippines when I was younger actually being Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Now there were a lot of MMOs. I mean, EverQuest was a big thing, so was Ultima Online. Cabal was also a big thing, but Ragnarok really took the Philippines by storm.
Yeah.
And that became one of the biggest MMOs here, and you would see everyone back in the early 2000s to late early 2000s playing it. I mean, I played Ragnarok for I think 7 years.
Dang.
I was there in the beta when it was all free. I was in the Chaos server with the Saints, and we went on the Valkyrie server. Then we played on the PvP server still with Saints. Then we went on the newest one, which I don't enjoy anymore because it's pretty crazy, and that's a whole different issue we'll talk about another time before I start ranting. But yeah, the access to internet at a cheaper rate at 25 pesos per hour that you could just you have to pay only when you're there versus getting one at home. And the other part was getting a PC that could run a game properly. Because
getting the game.
Unlike today where gaming PC is a thing and people understand the concept of having a nice setup and a good computer. I mean, even the current Macs can run some pretty good games.
And to be fair, hardware manufacturers have actually gotten into the mind of letting lower end stuff actually be able to run good games.
Back then, when they saw a computer was really a working device. I mean, when my parents bought a computer, it was the first computer we got was a Mac. It was the Apple and the Apple II, the Lisa. It was primarily for work. My dad needed it for documents and for working on some other things. My mom did the same thing. I used it for playing my point-and-click games. So the idea of getting a computer and making it a gaming setup, which was using the earlier video cards and getting a more RAM than you would essentially need for anything that you'd need work-wise. I mean, honestly, I don't think I need 16 gigs of RAM to do work on my computer. I mean, it's awesome, but I don't obviously need that for work.
Yeah.
Now, imagine yourself in the early 2000s and you're trying to convince your parents to get a 256 MB bit of RAM for their computer, which they saw was, I need this for my emails. What is this thing and why is it so expensive?
Yeah.
So just doing that was crazy. And of course, games. Well, getting games here was pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we mentioned this in another episode.
We'll probably mention this in another episode, and probably one of our later projects might also touch into this quite a bit. But obtaining games locally was not the easiest thing to do unless you were willing to gain them from, well, questionable sources.
And not just that, when you got this game, it's not like your friends would have it. And if your friends had it, you couldn't exactly play with them, especially if it's your PC.
Yeah.
Because again, the net speed wasn't that great. So you'd be forced to go to a net cafe.
Yeah.
And it made sense for a lot of people. I mean, I go there, pay 25 pesos an hour to play a large library of games, which back then was about 8 games.
Okay.
We didn't really have much choices, and people didn't really care for
People
much
didn't
games.
really, to be fair, the usual nature. The other thing I've noted with, at least based on what I've seen with internet cafes back in the day, compared to within the past 7 years, is the fact that the people who played back then were mostly playing any number of about 4 to 8 games, which usually included some retinue that had, say, Warcraft, Starcraft, Counter-Strike, whatever was the hot RTS at the time, and one or two MMOs back in the day. I think it was around the time that Ragnarok and Dota came in at practically the same time that we suddenly saw things where more people were playing more games. And if anything, I think that's the continuing trend at the moment, is it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, people still go in to do those different kinds of games, and I must have mentioned, like, the 8 games from back then are now, 80 games in some cafes. Like, Mineski offers over 50 different games.
And I could almost assure myself that if I stayed in Mineski for a full 24 hours, I could probably identify more than 8 different games being played.
Gosh, not just 8 games. I mean, they were playing a lot of games.
Yeah.
And it's something that's been growing to the point where, you really have gaming cafes. Egg was one of them. Mineski is one of them. Turtle's Nest, which was in where was that place in Ortigas? I forgot the place where all the bars were. Essentially, that was also a gaming cafe. C3 was a gaming cafe. Serendipity was pretty much a gaming cafe, even though it kind of was half business. It primarily became gaming.
It primarily became gaming, particularly because of the crowd that came in, from the high school, from the surrounding high schools, and UAP, and I don't know. I think we had a hand in that, honestly.
No, it was just bound to happen, honestly.
Yeah, I know, but I just can't help but feel we had a hand in that. I don't know. There were like. I'm sorry. There were like numerous moments where we were involved somehow.
Well, I mean, also if you're kind of wondering, how much money could a set of gamers bring into a establishment?
Half the rent.
Yeah, that's exactly what the Channel 14 boys, along with Bodega, was able to do.
Half the rent.
We essentially paid for half the month's rent between, I think it was just 8 of us, which would be playing every Saturday.
And if I'm correct, there was also back in that area there was actually a big there's somewhat of what I'd call a closing season of a number of internet cafes. After that season ended, I could tell you that Serendipity was probably one of the only ones still standing after that.
Oh yeah, mainly because, well, it had a very loyal market base. The people who are going to the other cafes were essentially people getting their basic business stuff done because it was just a little closer.
Yeah.
And of course, gamers would check that one out. But thing was, Serendipity had an insane choice of games.
Yes.
Partially because I actually installed a number of my games in there. If I remember, I think 3 of my games were installed there. One the most popular being Battlefield Vietnam.
And
all the mods.
I'm almost certain that's the case.
I remember some people playing Battlefield Vietnam and Point of Existence. Point of Existence. Awesome game. You guys should check it out. Awesome mod for Vietnam. Check it out, guys. Not Vietnam Battlefield 2, the original Vietnam. Anyway, yeah, gaming culture, the cafe culture grew from being business to what is today a heavy gaming thing. I mean, to the point that you see in Korea where they had to have laws to make sure people don't stay there too long.
It's
and
actually
in China, there are people who live in cafes and have these camps for gaming addiction and things. Honestly, the gaming addiction here is another topic we should look into.
But
I am not a big fan of gaming addiction. For me, it's not exactly real.
I would only go into the gaming addiction topic if I could also gain like some first-hand accounts from people who've seen it happen or people who've gone through it. But
that's simple. I'll just go to look at anyone playing Farmville, Bejeweled, Candy Crush. Those are essentially wings, but again, that's a topic that's for a entirely different episode.
Yeah,
that's not even third world. That's a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, but though when you bring up Korean PC bangs, I should note the nature of that culture is also pretty interesting, considering that it's already gotten to the point where people who frequent PC bangs are also given given benefits or exclusive stuff. I know that Blizzard gives you special items if you're a regular PC bang goer. It's like this was something that was going on back when Diablo 3 and StarCraft 2 launched. If you went to a PC bang, you could access your account and get some special item or some special bonus for it. So pretty much what was a cultural phenomenon, became part of the industry. He merged in and even affected the way the industry interacted with these people.
Yep, and well, at this point, what I'm actually wondering is, what is the future of these cafes? I mean, we've seen so much change from how they were in the beginning to how they are now, to the point that they're accepting so much gaming equipment, consoles, especially with new things coming in such as Google Glass. We have the Oculus Rift. We have the Morpheus. Was it from Sony?
The Morpheus from Sony, and also those numerous systems where you had so many things attached to you that you could play a shooter where you were actually holding the gun. What do you call those again?
Well, those are immersive games, and those are using like 3 to 4 different systems. Now, if you're wondering why that would be a PC thing, because those run on PC. They are not console-based.
I don't think any console right now can, power those. I have to be honest there. I know I'm shooting like 10 nukes with that statement, but I will stand for the truth, even if it causes the end of the world.
10 PS4s can run that. Anyway, guys.
12. Let's make it biblical.
Anyway, guys, so let's know in the comments below what you think about cafe culture. I mean, what's your experience with it? I mean, I'm sure all of you guys have tried it in different stages of its existence, from when it was purely business to the weird hybrid days, to the point where it became almost like an arcade, to how it is now, where it's just a noise fest of people playing LOL, Dota, Hon, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty,
and about anywhere from 12 to 20 MMOs.
And those 3 guys who are reading manga and that one person on Facebook. Anyway, so let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoy this, and if you got to this point,
this is the Off Tangent segment.
Jao's. Hey, Jao's here. Hey, Jao, maybe we should go to Paolo. I think it's an easier mic. My mic doesn't like the rear.
Hey,
hey guys, this is the Off Tangent, and yeah, there's something actually. This is generally not supposed to be talking about things gaming related right now, but one big piece of news: Microsoft bought Mojang.
What's it? Okay, I don't know.
What is Mojang?
Makers of Minecraft.
What is Minecraft?
A game that Miko likes a lot.
Okay, it's like the 3rd biggest game in the world right now. It's not just a game I enjoy, but it's a massive game.
I'm only saying this because I don't have opinion on the matter, so I'm gonna ask Jao what's his opinion on the matter.
what, like the Minecraft sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, they bought Minecraft.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Now, right now, people are saying it's a horrible deal. It's a horrible idea because A number of things. I mean, Microsoft, they've not had the best. They have a mixed history when it comes to buying things.
When it comes to buying game studios, I know for a fact that a lot of people who are spouting the Armageddon horn, they're looking at what happened to Rare.
And even Bungie, as much as a success right now, kinda was heavily changed and altered. And that's something I guess they're worrying heavily with Mojang was what the community is today and what it's developed into and where it came from. If you change any of that, they feel everything will collapse.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, well, the fact that Minecraft allows people to monetize on their IP.
Yeah.
And the other part, which is, I mean, even Notch openly said, if you want to try the game, pirate it.
Okay.
Those are very, very different ideas to what Microsoft would want to do.
Very different.
Now, Zhao mentioned prior when we talked another time was they probably will not block the multi-platforms just because it runs on Java.
Yeah.
Unlike console, where that might be a thing, I'm not sure. Probably currently with the PS3 and the PS4, maybe they might not stop the deals because they're probably ongoing.
The deals are ongoing, and from what I know, Sony's still on track to releasing the PS Vita version of the game.
Which brings us to what happens with Minecraft 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, right now people are saying it might be a horrible thing. But actually, watch a YouTuber I currently subscribe to. You check him out, Spumwack. He actually made a very interesting point, which was Minecraft was sold to Microsoft for $2.5 billion.
That's about twice, nearly 3 times the amount of money that Amazon paid to buy Twitch.
Now think about this. Would Microsoft really be willing to do a $2.5 billion thing and probably mess it up? Or effectively change things so much that it'll probably kill their own purchase?
All I can say is that they're not EA in that regard. That's all I can say.
I mean, it's going to be a very expensive mistake, and the mistakes are going to be very obvious.
Again, I'd expect EA to make that kind of blunder. Microsoft?
Yes, I would expect them to make that kind of blunder too. I'm sorry.
I hold a differing opinion to the man who said that.
The man being Zhao. But I mean, I know that Microsoft could mess this up.
We saw
what happened to their very first Xbox.
That's a very strong possibility. And again, look at what happened to Rare.
Yeah.
So when it comes to purchasing tech properties or whatever, when it comes to purchasing stuff, the purchasing company can do one of two things, right? They can just leave the thing alone, let them do their thing, or they can what's the word in English? Like in Bisaya, it's hilabot, like mess around with it, right?
Yeah.
Right. Say Facebook's Oculus Rift purchase, for example. Facebook just let the Oculus Rift do their thing.
Yeah.
Right? They just let the Oculus team do their thing. On the other hand, there is Microsoft when they bought Bungie. Bungie, before it became Bungie as we know it today, was pretty much known for Mac games only. Sorry, Miko.
Yeah.
So Microsoft is the reason you don't have your Mac exclusive games with Bungie anymore.
I had Halo 1.
See? What else?
Oh yeah.
When Microsoft purchased Nokia, they just recently laid off like a lot of people.
And they're actually
going to break Nokia.
And they're going to be dropping the Nokia branding within about a year or two's time.
So they do the purchase then kill. So
they do the purchase then we make it in our image thing.
Then there's that other thing about how Minecraft is a game that is so heavily focused on community.
Oh yeah.
And what has Microsoft done that is heavily community centered? Right? Like they aren't very good at cultivating a community. So
they got lucky with Halo.
Yeah, see, so like generally they aren't very good at cultivating community. Like even with Bungie, the first thing they did was get rid of its core audience because, you know, Mac exclusives. So this is sort of out of Microsoft's wheelhouse, I guess. But, you know, they might not be stupid enough to blow $2.5 billion on this, but then again, they can afford it.
Actually, I think they could. And I mean, as bad as they say that, because there are lots of people. I remember when I was on the server today, it's a public server, so you have a whole bunch of people from ranging ages.
Yeah.
You hear lots of them saying, I'm going to stop my game today, and you see lots of servers saying, we want to kill our thing right now because they're so worried about what may happen and what charges may come.
Okay.
But looking at it, seeing that it is again the third most purchased game in history at this time, even if you lose probably half your market, that's still a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't know what's...
The thing is, their return of their ROE, was it the return of...
Return on invest... ROI.
No, there's... if I remember from economics class, it's supposed to be ROE or something. Return on equity or something.
Return on equity. Okay.
Anyway,
return on investment.
If they're not going to touch anything, they'll make back their money supposedly within 2 to 3 years.
2 years, actually.
Now, if they do touch it, maybe 5 years. Especially again, community. The reason why Minecraft has such a major community is the fact that, heck, Notch allowed people to make money off his IP. He allowed people to make merchandise based off his IP. He allowed people to essentially get his idea and make money out of it and do whatever they pleased with it. He's a guy who said, "You want to try my game? Hey, I have a demo version, or you can pirate it." What developer in his right mind would pretty much be saying that?
Developer.
A developer who actually wants his game to go far and wide.
The thing is, Notch didn't even want that. Notch is the guy who made this... oh gosh, I hate how I keep forgetting his actual name, but...
Marcus Pearson.
Yeah, there we go. He didn't... When he first made it, he never expected it to be this big. But in fairness, who does? I mean, who makes something expecting it to be big? Except maybe Michael Bay, Chris Nolan, and other...
Yeah.
But, generally people don't think they're going to make something big. But it was just amazing. But I did read his letter to why he did it. And it does make sense. Mojang is a small company. It's minuscule. I think we might have more people on Channel 14.
Can you comment on that?
No, I was just waiting for you to come up with like a rebuttal or whatever, because
I already said,
because you said you were cool with it. So like, why are you cool with it?
No. I'm not cool with it. I said I
hate freedom. No.
No.
I'm kidding.
I specifically said I had no opinions on the matter. So it's like I'm more interested in listening to what you guys have to say.
But with Microsoft's purchase, I mean, I will run with the idea that I don't think anyone in the right mind would make a $2.5 billion mistake. I mean, they will honestly make so much money. EA. Yeah. But to be fair, I think EA will never touch this because it's a completed game. I mean, they have this habit of getting, half-baked stuff first.
I'm sorry, but I've seen the way EA works. They have made expensive mistakes numerous times.
Yet they're still alive.
They know how to sweet talk people into giving them loans.
Why? But yeah, I mean, it did make sense. He was stating that he could not handle what the game has become, and he couldn't handle what he had become at that point.
Basically,
which he describes as he became some sort of symbol.
He became a concept. Yeah, basically
a symbol. Yeah,
Notch became a symbol and a concept.
He became the Flappy Bird guy.
But the Flappy Bird guy went crazy a lot faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Notch said, he didn't do it for the money. He did it to save his sanity.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, I mean, yeah, $2.5 billion is still, that's a lot.
Yeah, that is.
He's set for life. Every time that Microsoft makes money off of Minecraft, he gets a cut of it, right?
No, he completely
divested himself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely.
Yep.
So
he sold his 70%
ownership of the company. Yeah. Okay.
He didn't want it. He apparently at this point Minecraft became a bit of a nightmare for him.
And while we're on the topic, yes, it's been confirmed numerous times that I think it's already been confirmed that Notch was the one who approached Microsoft for the deal, not vis-a-vis.
Well, I mean, they've been talking for a lot of times because you know the Xbox has lots of things for it, especially with the latest Halo mashup.
Yeah.
And come on, Xbox One, the fact that you could move your maps from Xbox to Xbox One, that was an amazing thing. Achievement City will live on.
Actually, they've pretty much opened that compatibility to other like past gen, current gen system thingies now. So I think it works.
I'm curious though, who do you think would be the instinct person to buy it out?
Who?
If not Microsoft, who do you think would be an instinct thing?
Who would be an interesting thing?
Instinct group to purchase.
Mojang?
Phil Fish.
Valve?
Yeah, Valve.
Valve would be an instinct. I was actually leaning on Bethesda because I feel they have better community mindset.
Yeah.
Plus, you know, I would love to see a really insane mashup of what would Bethesda do to Minecraft.
I have no idea.
Minecraft will have a story and have lore.
I have no idea on this statement. 2K.
That's actually very scary, I think.
No, well, actually, it's scary on the set. No, actually, the scary part. No, the only scary part there is the amount of money you'd be paying on DLC.
Can you imagine Square Enix bought this?
Oh gosh, they're going to make it the most pretentious thing in the universe.
I'd so actually love to see Hideo Kojima do Minecraft.
That would be awesome.
Oh, Hideo Kojima and what's that director? Doing the new Silent Hill 6. Guillermo del Toro. Just doing Silent Hill 6, and they're getting that guy from Walking Dead to play the main character.
Oh, cool.
The hillbilly.
Cool.
The hillbilly with the crossbow. Sorry, I do not remember the characters' names. I'm very bad with names.
Not Daryl. Just say not Daryl, and if it's not Daryl.
Yeah, but essentially, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to... I don't know if I'm going to playing it or watching it.
Why are you saying that? Because platform?
Hideo Kojima.
Oh, right.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, yeah, I remember PS4.
The playable movie.
Yeah. So I
am looking very forward to watching Silent Hill 6, the game.
No, MGS4 was not the best statement for that. Ground Zeroes is.
In fairness, I enjoyed Ground Zero.
Yeah, no, it's just that, how fast can you finish the game again?
The record right now is, I think, 7 minutes.
How long are the cutscenes?
Mario Brothers 1 was all 7 minutes, I think.
How long are the cutscenes?
You think Metal Gear Solid 4, which had...
No, Ground Zeroes.
Ground Zero, I actually don't remember how long the cutscenes were. Metal Gear Solid 4, though, had 7 hours of cutscenes.
So, in short, movie.
So, Silent Hill 6, it'll be the Silent Hill sequel movie.
It's like that Heavy Rain game.
Heavy Rains. Heavy Rain, yeah.
No.
Awesome.
I think it was Beyond Two Souls that was closer to that. We don't talk about that one.
I still like the idea of Phil Fish buying Minecraft.
So what do you guys think? This is becoming like a weird 2-part episode.
So Phil Fish buys Minecraft. I wonder what he's gonna say on Twitter about that.
I'm not gay fish. Oh, when's the next South Park season starting? It's like it's been a long while since I saw a new episode.
They mentioned that it was starting before the end of the year.
That is not helpful in any way.
I just recalled reading that somewhere.
Was it on Reddit? I heard that's legit.
Not Reddit. There was some media site.
Was it The Onion?
It was. It was tied to the whole. Whole fact that the entirety of South Park is now pretty much stuck on Hulu.
Oh yeah, but I've noticed. Have you noticed how many people have been falling for Onion news lately?
It's always been a thing, though.
No, it's like lately I've been seeing more satirical things being shared. And I'm just like, do people really believe this? Like the one that was getting shared recently, which was really old. But to be fair, it was not like from The Onion. It was from an actual news site, but it was posted on April 1st. It's that one, I think, talking about the Philippines trying to block Facebook and something because of taxes or something. And that was being shared like 2-3 weeks ago.
That was.
It's like looking this like, and everyone's like saying because it's from an actual news site.
Yeah.
Like this seems interesting, so click on it. Look on April 1st.
I remember clicking on that link, but I was directed to Adobo Chronicles,
Okay.
and I know for a fact the nature of that site.
My one, Jao, from the legal's perspective, if you're a satirical website, are you supposed to mention in bold somewhere that you are a satirical website? Or is it, up to the people's freedoms and to be smart enough to realize this is probably satire?